Good afternoon, my name is Tumi Tladi and welcome to my YouTube channel. If this video is the first video that you're watching currently, I'm still busy with these sessions for Web API series. I'm doing the last session number 4 for controllers, but I'm gonna urge you to watch my other previous videos from my other previous series I've been doing. You know, the goodness on this YouTube channel is fantastic. So in our previous session or video, we covered contracts. It was a lovely video. We are done. I'm gonna do the last one. I will need to mark it down already. It's the last one for today, called controllers in Web API. So I'm still busy with this series called Web API in .NET Framework and .NET Core. So let's read what is just something before I show. Web API controller, because this is very, very important, and I'll explain why. There we go. So we are looking at tutorials, teacher website. Web API controllers. We created Web API with MVC project in the previous section where it generated a simple controller. Hence, you will learn about Web API controller in detail. Web API controller is similar to ASP.NET MVC controller. That's why I want to do this video. That if you know MVC, it should be easy for you to understand Web API. Now, in Web API environment or world, it handles incoming HTTP request and send response back to the caller. That's the sole purpose of the controller in Web API or Web API controllers. It handles incoming HTTP request and send response back to the caller. Web API controller is a class which can be created under the controllers folder. I love that. Or any other folder under your project rules folder. This is terrible advice. It should be created under controllers. The name of the controller class must end with controller. It's very important, and it must be derived from system.web.http.api controller class. All the public methods of the controller are called action methods. Okay, so now let me talk about certain things. This is the most important thing. It's similar to ASP.NET MVC controller. In the context of my system identical docs, particularly this project, because this is twin-one. This is twin-one. I don't know if I should advise you to do twin-one. The truth is, if you try to do two separate projects, MVC on the left, Web API on the right, it's a lot of work. I don't want to lie. Because this folder, if it were to be utilized, it will be for both. This folder is for both. As you can see, only here I'm handling these two are only handling Web API stuff. The rest is MVC stuff. The rest. If I were to use this guy to be for both of them, MVC and Web API, if I were to use this, it will be for both. I won't have to install Fluent validation everywhere on both projects. I just install once. If I were to configure something to be for both, if I were to make use of the web.config file, it will be for both. That's the point I'm trying to say. The views, managing the views, it will be for both. If you want to separate them, go ahead. But I just want to show that. The second thing that we read is this. It's a class which can be created under controllers. Not can be, it should be created under folder called controllers, please. Why is that? If I do right click, I just want to show you something. Right click and I say add. What do you see here? You see controller, right? Which is fantastic. You see controller, right? Cool. But if I right click, add, okay, no, it doesn't show what I want to show, unfortunately. There was a time where it would not show controller on the list. As you saw, now there's a view, but it will not show controller. But the point is to be safe, please put it here. Another reason why this is very important is that if I decide to add a controller, now we're coming to the third thing now, which is the name of the controller class must end with controllers. Okay, let's cancel this one first. Let's open the controllers. You see about controller, contact controller, home controller. In MVC, I just want to show you account controller, manage controller. This is MVC. In Web API, there is business V1 controller, and we'll talk about why controller has to be, at the end of the class name. Usually I do V1 to be the end, but in this case it was not going to be treated as a controller if it was business controller underscore V1. It was not recognized as a controller. I don't know why, for some reason, but this is how it is. Everything is a controller. It should end with controller as we are being guided, right? The class, the name of the controller must end with the controller. That's a third thing. The last thing, it should derive from API controller. This is what differentiates it from MVC controllers. So let's go to MVC controllers and open account controller. Let's give this guy a second to load. It's finished. So account controller inherits from controller base class. And if you read the description, it provides a method that responds to HTTP requests that are made to ASP.NET MVC website. Okay, but if you look at this business V1 controller, it inherits from a different controller base class, which is API controller. You don't want to confuse these two. Defines properties and methods for API controller. If it's not inheriting from this, you have a big problem. If I do this, it will still be allowed. If I remove the API controller, it still is allowed. No? Am I supposed to add? Oh, only then I can add this guy, but it will still be allowed if I decide to bring this guy. It's allowed, but this is wrong. Do you see that if now I inherit from this, these attributes are not recognized? HTTP GET, HTTP routes are not recognized, and this is where now the problem is. Okay, let's not spoil the fun. So this is how it is. So let's go back and remove this using statement and undoing the things that we did. There we go. So now you understand. I felt like it was very important when I was organizing this list to talk about the controllers, because in MVC it's a normal controller, but in Web API it should inherit from API controller. So as usual, I like to show side by side with, let's close this, .NET Core. So with .NET Core, okay, let me show the MVC for .NET Core controllers. Let's look at this about controller. Let's give this guy a second. I'm going to show you something. Still, the about controller inherits from controller, of which comes from Microsoft.ASP.NET-Core.MVC namespace, right? Description: a base class for an MVC controller with a view support, right? Now, if we open .NET Core Web API controller, that by the way, I do have an MVC controller in Web API. Yes, you're allowed to do that. There we go. Maybe I should have shown with this one. This is home controller inheriting from controller, MVC controller, because I need this so that this page can be loaded. This api.identical.docs.co.za, so that this page can be rendered. This is the only reason why I have home controller, which is MVC controller, in my Web API in .NET Core, so that this page can be loaded. Okay, because then I need to style using this index view page. I need to style this guy. Okay, I hope you understand this. And then lastly, I want to show this business V1 that is different. And also, let's close everything, and I want to do this. Let's bring .NET Core downstairs. So this is .NET Framework. So this is what we are focusing on, right? But look at .NET Core. Look at .NET Core. .NET Core, they have re-architected this entire thing to say this controller is going to inherit from controller base. Look what it says. It says a base class for an MVC controller without view support. It says a base class for MVC controller without a view support. What about at home? A base class for MVC controller with view support. Do you see the difference there? But look at what Microsoft did. Now Microsoft, through ASP.NET team, core team, they like, now we need to decorate this class. There's a reason why we need to decorate this class with this attribute called API controller, but it provides a lot of stuff, by the way. If I do this, it provides a lot of stuff. Let's wait for IntelliSense to wake up. How do you show that thing again? Like, how do you show the overload? This should be perfect. Let's do this rather. Let's get straight into the controller so we can see what it expects. Even if a Visual Studio decide to become unresponsive right now, I'll still be safe because I'm through with this video. No, but this is not what I'm expecting. But as you can see, it inherits from controller attribute, IAPI behavior metadata, iFilter metadata. Now that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for other stuff. I think what I'm looking for, what I remember, is that you can say produces if I'm not mistaken, and then you can do I forgot, but this way you're able to say that it can produce API, what do you call this, JSON response okay, but you can do some stuff on this base controller, a lot of stuff. Okay, so I just want to show that you need to be aware of this. You can't just remove this attribute without knowing what it does. So I just want to provide that you need to know what it does. With that being said, I am done now for today's session on this series of Web API. It's an amazing series, and I'm still learning. By the day, I'm still learning, you know. Okay, so stay tuned for AutoMapper, validators, depends injection. Depends injection is for .NET Core, installers for .NET Core, validators or validation.NET Core, or validation filters in .NET Core. But there's more where I'm gonna be breaking down what does these feedbacks do, what do they do for a Xamarin application, what do they do for the OPF application. Okay, stay tuned for that. For now, I'm done. Thank you very much. If you like the material on this YouTube channel, like the video, leave the comment here if you have any. Subscribe, tell your fellow developers. I would appreciate everything that you do. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more videos.